Hey, Jen.
Hey, Dana. Hi, everyone.
Welcome to Hypnosis.
And beyond. Today we have VJ Bala. He is a musician and a sound and healing practitioner and a man of many talent.
Hey, VJ.
Hi, Dana. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Hi, VJ. I'm so excited that you're on today and you
Me
can share all
too.
your wonderful talents.
Let's see. Thank you so much, Jennifer. It's nice to see you in the 2D. I'm used to seeing you in the 3D, so this is great.
Yes, lucky me. We'd love to hear all about what you offer people, your wonderful healing journeys. Why don't you take it away and tell us
Mm.
what you do so well?
Well, I guess, thank you, first of all. I guess, Jennifer, we met at one of my cacao ceremonies and sound baths a couple of weeks ago. And you had come to one before then as well, and you brought your wonderful son, Sebastian. And, we got to talking, and then you suggested I come on your podcast. So now I can take it from there. What we experienced that evening was a bunch of us sat in or laid down in my living room, and I played music and essentially played sounds of different sorts, of different frequencies, of different volumes, variety of sounds that reverberated through the room and had a physiological, and emotional effect on anyone there. So what we did there was essentially, people call it in my world a sound bath or a sound ceremony. And we had opened the session with drinking a cup of cacao. If you remember, it was a ceremonial cacao that I brought directly from Guatemala, which was a really beautiful heart opener. So that experience basically was like a taste of what makes my soul shine, which is creating environments and spaces where people can leave the gunk that we carry around outside and come into this space and tap back into the true essence of what we are, which is magical, miraculous beings that are able to do so much. But we forget when we're out there and we're carrying the gunk of life, which is something we have to do. Life is life. And so I light up when I'm in an opportunity or space to connect on such a soul deep level with people who come, who start sharing, who open up, who are, exposing their strength by being vulnerable. I believe being vulnerable is an absolute superhuman strength. And then we sort of transform a little bit. I believe, Jennifer, you said that you had a beautiful night's sleep after that. And so that stuff lights me up, when we're able to come together in a circle, whether it's through sound baths, whether it's through retreats, or so many ways, and sort of share this space and then grow from it all, do a little bit of healing, that kind of thing. So yeah, that was it in a nutshell.
I noticed during the sound bath with all the different instruments you use that like just tapping into how all of those vibrations and their differences. Could you tell me a little bit about maybe how they affect different parts of our body and how trauma is stored in the body?
Sure. How many hours do you have? But I'll try and keep it somewhat summarized. So I think we had talked about water, and so I'd love to talk about water and tie that into your question and my answer. So water, just a little bit of introduction, is a very miraculous molecule on our planet. It is the only molecule that expands when you freeze. Everything else, when you freeze, it shrinks. But for whatever reason, water is different. They say most of the water on our planet came from outside our planet. Over the last 4 billion years, we've been hit by meteors and asteroids that had frozen water, and that's how we have so much water on our planet. And what's amazing to me is that most of the water is interstellar, which means it comes from within the Milky Way galaxy, and some of the water is actually intergalactic, so it's coming from outside the galaxy. So it's amazing to me that this is the water that we rely on for survival and our planet needs for life. And we are mostly water. our body is mostly water. 80 something percent of our brain is water, 80 something percent of our heart is water, our blood is mostly water. We are essentially jars of water walking around. And I'll tie it all in, so bear with me. Some of your viewers may know of this pseudoscientist or a scientist from Japan, Dr. Emoto, who did a water crystal experiment. Dana, do you know about this?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's this incredible thing where he exposed, just for your viewers, he exposed water from the same source to different energies. So you'd have like multiple jars of water or glasses of water, and one of the glasses of water has been exposed to the word love or harmony. The other one's exposed to like angry, like I hate you energy, and similarly like that. And he observed after studying the frozen version of each jar of water that the water that was exposed to positive energies like love, kindness, their crystals were perfectly like a snowflake, beautiful, beautiful symmetrical crystals, whereas the ones that were exposed to negative energy were all fractals and broken. And so it was, and so many other versions of this experiment have been done to plants, to rice, to many kinds of things. So the point being that anything that carries water when exposed to positive energy is in a state of harmony, whereas the opposite, we're in a state of disharmony or dissonance. And so the idea is when we are in a sound bath and we are laying down and I'm sending you vibration, essentially it's sound that transfers through the air and goes through your body. And as you remember, I played the drum, I played the harmonium, the guitar. There was a time when I played the gong. It was so loud and like shrieky almost. What's happening is I'm not only playing pleasant sounds, I'm also changing it up, as you said, different frequencies. And the intention of that is to essentially, the lack of another way of saying it, to just shake you up, shake you, the jar of water up like that, so that all the water and all the dust can settle essentially, and we can just reset. And the intention that I had, like I could have been like, I hate you, Jennifer, as I was playing this, but I wasn't doing that. The intention I had was that of love, of harmony, of union, of yoga. And so for an hour and a half or 2 hours, you were exposed to that frequency. And so it would make sense that someone comes out of that in a somewhat euphoric state, calm, dreamy, goes home and feels relaxed, and they're not necessarily thinking about their next hydro bill or whatever, the conversation they had with the person that was triggering for them. So this is the idea. And the lesson there is that we have the ability and the choice to walk into rooms, metaphoric rooms, where we are surrounded by harmony, or we have the choice to walk into areas and situations where we're not. I personally, my opinion is every time I turn on YouTube and I listen to the news, I am choosing to bombard myself with disharmony. Whereas every time I go and back into my forest with bare feet and I'm doing my gardening, which I've been doing the last couple of days, I'm choosing to be in that frequency of harmony. So that's in a nutshell what the intention of the various frequencies and the intention and really shaking you up was.
Well, it definitely works. So thank you very much. I felt so calm the next day. It wasn't until I got on the phone and just let the whole world just rip right in that I felt actually that dissonance, as you said. Mm-hmm. Like my body was actually free for a whole day. And wow. That was noted. So this healing is incredible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Would love it if you could go to the next one, Dana. It was amazing.
Well, I'll be heading up your way one of these days, so that'll definitely be on the agenda. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Just avoid the winters here.
Well, it's fun for us down in California to come in, Southern California, to come and, experience the frozen water.
Yeah. We can walk on water here.
I love it. So you mentioned all those different instruments and the different vibrations. Do you find that you have a go-to? or does it depend on
Yeah.
what experience you're trying to create?
So the answer to that question is somewhat deep in that it's an in the moment decision. So one of the things that I've learned over time is that we get in the way, we get in our own way, and so every time I've like prepared for some, I'm going to play this instrument and then I'm going to play that instrument. I'm going to play in the key of C and then I'm going to do this. And it always changes or always get in the way. And it's not as free flowing or harmonious as if I'm just like flowing with it, you know? And so what happens is I've got a bunch of instruments. I'm looking at them right now. I wish I could turn my laptop and show you, but I'm looking at a whole bunch of instruments that I've over the years acquired from different parts of the world. I was recently just in Brazil, and I think I played these for you maybe a little bit. I was in the Amazon and was had the fortune of spending some time with a tribe, and they were just showing me these like wind little flute things that simulate bird sounds. So over the years, I've been accumulating a bunch of instruments like that, depending on where I am. And I am not by any means an expert in any of them. So if I had to pick a go-to, it would probably be my guitar because I play that the most often. But I really just channel. I just open it up. Even this conversation, I didn't prepare anything. I just knew it would be what it would be. It would be what is meant to be. And so that's what happens. I do, however, know that there needs to be some sort of an arc where, like, I don't want to end the session with like a really harsh sound. I want to end it in a very beautiful, beautiful, like peaceful way, and maybe even start that way. So I know there's a little bit of an arc, but yeah, I wouldn't say there's like a go-to instrument. It's just they're all there in front of me, and I'm like, oh, this is what's coming up right now. So I just play a little bit of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I'm curious, when you mention instruments from around the world, I know one of the things that's recommended for our body's health is to eat vegetables and fruits that are grown nearby because that's the minerals that are in the soil and our body needs what we're closest to. That's one of the ways of looking at eating healthfully. And I wonder, is sound like that too? If you live near an ocean, should you listen to ocean sounds? If you live near a forest, like, do you believe there's a relationship between your environment that you live in and the sounds that might be beneficial?
Yes, I do. So I'll just touch on this. Coming back to food for a second, I wrote a whole blog about this. Have you heard of the term prana by any chance? Prana? Prana in yogic philosophy and is maybe a good way to put it is life force. So this paper that I wrote was about how if an avocado is grown in Mexico, plucked 4 weeks ago, put in a fridge, put in a truck, put on a plane, travels all the way to a supermarket here in Toronto, that avocado has less prana than if I was standing under the tree and it fell on me and I had it moments later. There's more life force in it. And so I do believe 100% that anything that has more life force has more life force. So it's healthier. So this is the paper I wrote is generally speaking, I do my own gardening in the summers here. Hard to do that in the winter. But I try and eat as much as I can that's nearby. So local farmers markets. Coming back to your question about sound is it's I wouldn't say necessarily that the instrument needs to be from a local area, but the sounds that are being generated in your environment are there and you're there for a cosmic reason because there's an alignment and you're there. So I could sit in my room and play this thing, or I could go to my backyard into the forest and listen to the birds there. And I would opt for the latter. You know, if there was an ocean nearby, I would rather go and listen to the waves of the ocean than put on a soundtrack of the waves of the ocean on my speaker because there's so much more involved. You know, there's so much like real time magic happening. You don't know what birds will fly by and make what chirping sounds. You know, this as opposed to like a pre recorded or premeditated or pre rehearsed thing. So I do believe that keeping it local, keeping it as full of prana as possible is the way to go.
I loved hearing the sound of that instrument. Would you mind gracing us with your talents? Any instrument you choose?
I mean, look, there's so many, right? And by no means am I an expert in this one, but this is, I'll show you. This is, I don't know if you can see it. It looks like a UFO, and people that do sound baths know exactly what it is. It's a hand pan. Hi. This is an instrument that's relatively new. I mean, instruments aren't really new, but this one's like 20 years old, not even that old. That like it was invented not that long ago, maybe 30 max, and invented in Switzerland. And it's basically like the and the Caribbean steel drum, but inverted. So this. So like that. I mean, I could keep playing. And so the idea here is that this is a beautiful thing. It's hollow in the back, kind of looks like a spaceship, you know, with these dents, and you tap on each one, and there's different sounds you can make. You can play two of them at the same time. It's basically just goes up the. You can't really hit a wrong note. So when you're in this state of flow, you're just playing, and you can play this for 15, 20 minutes, and people that are listening to it are, you know, feeling like this calm sort of. And I listen to this almost every morning. I'll listen to a little bit of a master playing this instrument. Sometimes there's two or three of them, you know, like where a group of us are playing in, you know, in harmony, that kind of thing. So this is the hand pan or the hang drum. I also have here, can I turn my, yeah. I also have here a harmonium, which I think you
Wow.
also liked. This is from
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So the harmonium is a really, really beautiful, beautiful sound. And I have this on a drone mode right now.
Wow.
I mean, if I had my other hand free, I'd play some notes and keys. But this sound, this sort of like, well, let's see. This sort of like drone sound.
Can you hear that?
It's
Deb?
hard to hear. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Never
don't
mind.
know why I can't hear it.
Okay. But I mean, it's just kind of like a drony sound. So it's something that really is great at calming the nervous system, you know? And then I'll just turn this around for a second here. Can you see all those instruments?
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So the metallic one in the middle there,
Mhm.
that is a gong, Gong, gong. And
Yeah.
so that one is something that, you know, starts off very soft and gets you in this sort of dreamy state. And then the way I like doing it is like kind of like a crescendo. So it like raise the volume, raise the tempo, raise the energy of the room and the environment. And there's like this crashing sound, and you're just like your entire body is shaking. I've been at sound baths where people are essentially like shaking like that. Because, I mean, not to get too nerdy, but, you know, if people that study quantum mechanics and quantum physics, we are just energy, right? Like we are the matter state, the physical hard matter state is just momentary. But what it is all of the universe is potential energy. And so when we are shaking things up, we are very little amount we're changing from matter to energy temporarily, so that when we come back to matter, when we come back to this physical bone and flesh, that we are new, that we are different than we were just an hour before, right? And so that's coming back to originally what you were asking, Jennifer. That's the intention, is to like just shake things up, shake the entire system up, shake the water up, set the intention of harmony and love, so that when we reform into matter, we are different and new. And so people that are like shaking like this, it's after like an hour and a half, 2 hours of being, immersed in this sound and this intention. And it happens naturally. It's almost like, I've seen this personally. I haven't experienced it myself, but I've seen this in Kundalini awakenings, and people are like shaking, and their chakras are all sort of lining up and stuff. So, yeah, I'm sorry if I'm blabbing.
I can listen to you all day. I know you have so much to share because you also take people on these wonderful retreats as well, right? You have one scheduled for January. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Jennifer, I love doing that. I love, so I'll just tell you. So the one that we do in March is my business partner Steph and I. We've been doing that for 6 or 7 years now, and that's in Guatemala. And it's a week-long retreat where people come in. We actually work with plant medicine. There's sound and music every day. There's meditation. There's noble silence. Beautiful food that literally grows right there. And that week, I always say, is my favorite week of the year. And because I know I love that so much, I've started to create more experiences like that. The other one that's happening in January, just a couple of months before that, is I'm actually taking a group of people to India. I'm originally from India, and I love, the teachings of that land, and I have so much to share about life, essentially about suffering. I love talking about suffering because I think we try to avoid it so much. We try to be like, I don't want suffering. But I want us to, as a species, as beings, to embrace suffering. Trees embrace suffering. Animals embrace suffering. Flowers embrace suffering. Like, we can also embrace suffering. So I create these retreats and experiences where, yes, we're going to see beautiful volcanoes and lakes and temples and all that stuff. But really what we're there for is to learn more about what we are and who we are, which is essentially self-healers, alchemists. So that's what I do. One's happening in January and the other one's happening in March and more. This fall, in fact, Jennifer, I'm offering one with Madison in September, just a 2-night, 3-day thing here in Ontario as well.
Oh, I'll have to look into that. That sounds intriguing.
I'll tell you all about it.
Now, Dana hasn't heard you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, no.
And is there any way you could play a little bit of your guitar and maybe sing to us a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Play you a song, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh my
God. This is amazing.
It's literally my pleasure. I used to be so afraid of it, but I'm not anymore. Okay. This is my go-to to answer your question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Should I bring it closer?
Sure.
Yeah, because we want to hear it.
Okay.
There we go.
Let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart, let the way of the heart shine through. Can you hear that okay? Let the way of your heart, let the way of your heart, let the way of your heart shine through. Love upon love upon love. Our hearts are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun. Let the way of our hearts, let the way of our hearts, let the way of our hearts shine through. Love upon love upon love, our hearts are beating as one. Light upon light upon light, shining as bright as the sun. Let the way of our hearts, let the way of your heart, let the way of your heart shine through. Life upon life upon life, all disappears into one.
Wow. I
Yay!
just feel like my whole, yes, now you've just, what have you done? I've gone into a million pieces and come back to a better piece of matter.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my
Very nice.
pleasure.
What a blessing.
Really, really is my pleasure.
I have a question for you about sleep. And,
Mm-hmm.
we know that many people struggle to either get to sleep or stay
Mm-hmm.
asleep
Mm-hmm.
or sleep very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that's suggested to people is to listen to a sound at bedtime, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
white noise, brown noise, or nature sounds. Um, what's your take on that?
Mm-hmm. So if I may start, I think the first thing in this day and age that we all need to do, and I say need, is to not have this thing in the same room as the room that we're sleeping in. So I feel that there's a lot that happens physiologically when we have crack right next to us when we're waking up and going to sleep. So that I think really affects it. Now, as far as sound, I have white noise. I have a fan that like a fan sound, or it's actually a fan. And I think what it is it's just this consistent. If you listen to music that's really up and down a lot, it won't have the same relaxing effect. It's about having a consistent droney kind of thing going on. And I think what happens is subconsciously our minds and our nervous systems latch onto that, and we go into like this autopilot place where our mind is just a little bit more relaxed. So I think it really does help. I also notice for myself anyway that total silence is deafening. Like too much silence it's a little tricky for me. Um, yeah, so that's my take. I do recommend it, and I think people have different sort of sounds that work for them. But I know a very popular one is just like this sort of white noise sort of fan sound. That's a really, really popular one.
I love the idea of that sort of constant, sound rather than it changing. I have listened to rainforest sounds
Mm-hmm.
to sleep. And, of course, it's an inconsistent sound because then a
Mm-hmm.
bird
Mm-hmm.
chirps here and so
Mhm.
I've just been curious on somebody who has studied sound,
Mm-hmm.
sort of what your take is, whether you think that because of course we know we need to get to that deeper sleep level. That's what
Mm-hmm.
makes us rested and our nervous systems and
Mm-hmm.
everything really get to relax. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's
it's
what I was wondering.
something absolutely. And I'll tell you a funny story. Um, a few years ago when COVID happened, my parents moved, in with me, and they are master snorers. And so I noticed that when one of them would snore, it would be disrupting because it's a snore and a pause. And they've figured out a way, I don't know how they did this. My mom, when she was around, they used to snore and they would be like overlap. So there would be no overlap. So when one of them is snoring and lulled, the second one does it. And so there was like this consistent snore sound. And so that was fine with me, that consistent. So it comes back to that whole no breaks, you know? I'll have to study the science of snore sleep sounds.
Well, and that brings us to our next segment, which is a silly subconscious question. We would love to know the first answer that comes to your mind.
Okay.
VJ, what is your favorite article of clothing and why?
Oh, I know the answer to this. It is an old Superman t-shirt. A very, very old. It's like maybe 30 years, 35 years old now. And the reason I love it so much is because I have a relationship with it. And I think that's an important thing. So many of us have things, you know, in our cupboards and our closets and our stuff, and we don't even know what's in there. So we don't really have relationships with them. I have a relationship with this t-shirt because it's been with me for so long. And I remember my dad giving it to me. I love the little like rip that's right here, a little over here. I love Superman. And I just love how it feels when I wear it. And I wear it. It's not like I'm going to keep it there because, you know, I don't want it to. So that's my Superman t-shirt. Still
Awesome.
fits.
Love it.
Well, VJ, we always like to ask a beyond question. What is your beyond? What is something that lights you up beyond what you've shared already with us?
So I, for the last 25 plus years, I've been running my company. The name of my company is Heyjute, Heyjute, heyjute.com if you want to go visit. We've been replacing single-use plastics with plant-based alternatives that compost at home. So we make packaging for grocery stores, for food. We also have a line of plates and bowls that are made out of 100% leaves. All ethically handmade by Women's Self-Help Group. I've been doing that for 25 plus years. I really I light up when I work on my company. We're just trying to replace single-use plastics with plant-based alternatives wherever we can. I love that. And yeah, so that's something that I do. And then I also have like this deep love for tennis. I know that's completely irrelevant, but I'm going to go play in a couple of hours and I'm really excited about it.
Beautiful. Well, it's been amazing to have you on. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Yeah.
We already want you to come back.
Yeah,
Well,
we do.
I'd be happy to. It's such a pleasure to have this chat with you and share and have you hold space for my blabbing and my sound. Really
And we of course want to hear more about suffering too and how to avoid it. But I know you don't want to tell us how to do that.
no. The way to avoid, I mean, it's so cliche. The way to avoid it is to walk right through it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Don't fight
How
it.
gracefully do you walk through it is the question.
Well, with that, Jennifer, what do we always say?
Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out.